Have you ever met a man who lives completely alone? No girlfriend, no wife, no one waiting for him at home, and somehow he doesn't seem lonely at all. He has his little routines, his quiet apartment, his weekends exactly the way he wants them, and when someone asks, "Don't you ever want someone?" he just shrugs. Most people assume there's something wrong with him. Maybe he's afraid of commitment. Maybe he's been hurt. Maybe he simply couldn't find anyone. But psychology offers a different possibility. Maybe he isn't missing a relationship. Maybe he genuinely likes the life he's built. 1. He values autonomy. One reason has to do with something psychologists call autonomy. In simple terms, it's the feeling that your life belongs to you. You decide when you wake up, what you eat, where you go, how you spend your evening. You don't have to negotiate every little decision. For someone who strongly values independence, that freedom can be incredibly rewarding. And there's an important distinction here. Being alone isn't automatically the same thing as being lonely. Loneliness is about feeling disconnected. Solitude is simply being by yourself. Those two experiences can look identical from the outside, but feel completely different on the inside. 2. He doesn't need a partner to feel whole. Some men also have surprisingly rich emotional lives without having a romantic partner. They have close friends, family, work they care about, hobbies, communities, people they can call when life gets difficult. So a relationship isn't being used to fill an emotional hole. It's something they might want, but don't necessarily need in order to feel okay. And that changes the entire dynamic. When you're comfortable alone, you can choose a relationship because you genuinely want that person, rather than because you're terrified of being alone. 3. He may have become very clear about what he wants. Here's another one people often misunderstand. Some people become more selective as they get older, not necessarily because they think they're better than everyone else, but because they know themselves better. They know what kind of relationship works for them, what doesn't, what they're willing to compromise on, and what they're absolutely not willing to sacrifice. So instead of thinking, "I need to find someone," they think, "If I meet the right person, great, but I'm not going to destroy a peaceful life just to say I'm in a relationship." That's not necessarily stubbornness. Sometimes it's self-knowledge. 4. Solitude can become something he actually enjoys. There's something else that's easy to overlook. We become attached to what consistently makes us feel good. If a man spends years living alone and experiences that life as peaceful, productive, and comfortable, his brain doesn't necessarily interpret solitude as a problem. It becomes familiar. Maybe Saturday morning means coffee, music, and no obligations. Maybe Sunday means a long walk. Maybe his evenings belong to a book, a hobby, or simply doing absolutely nothing. Eventually, being alone doesn't feel like an empty room. It feels like home. And once someone genuinely enjoys their own company, they don't experience being single in the same way someone desperately looking for a partner does. 5. He may have stopped measuring his life by other people's timelines, and perhaps the biggest shift happens here. Society gives us a script. Grow up, fall in love, get married, build a family. And if you don't follow that timeline, people start wondering what's wrong. But some people eventually stop asking, "Am I living the life I'm supposed to live?" and start asking, "Do I actually like the life I'm living?" That's a very different question. Because a man who lives alone isn't necessarily waiting for someone to arrive and make his life meaningful. He may already believe his life has meaning. So the next time you see a man living alone, don't automatically assume you're looking at someone who's lonely. You might be looking at someone who's incredibly comfortable with himself. That doesn't mean every man who avoids relationships is happy. Some people do withdraw because of trauma, fear, depression, or difficulty with intimacy. Context matters. But being single and being unhappy are not the same thing. Sometimes what looks like isolation from the outside is simply peace from the inside. And maybe that's the part we don't talk about enough. You don't have to find someone just to prove that your life is worth living. Sometimes being at peace with your own company is a life skill. What do you think? Do you believe a person can be completely happy living alone for the rest of their life? I'd genuinely like to hear your answer. Take care.